Hi guys, welcome back to Alpha Bella y Mystica. I hope you guys enjoyed the couple of guests that I had in my previous episodes. I would love to bring you guys a lot more. Or if you guys would love to be part of this podcast, let me know. Last week, I know I sat down with my friend and I allowed her to have a space for her to speak out on a very tragic issue. These episodes, this podcast, I don't want it to be used as to expose people. That's not my goal. My goal is to expose what trauma, what patterns, what tendencies we have grown accustomed to. They are part of our lives, and sometimes we don't realize how much they affect us internally, unfortunately. We mentioned how sometimes we grow up with parents that are either present in the home. It's not always the male or the father, but it can be both parents. They are very much present in the home physically, but they lack emotional maturity to be that parent that we all need. Like we stated before, parents are usually the ones that are our safety, that we connect emotionally as a safety, a person of motivation, someone we look up to. Our foundation is our parents. And when we don't have a good relationship with our parents, we tend to try to look for it somewhere else. And that's why we end up in toxic relationships. We ourselves are toxic because we weren't taught how to have a relationship that is loved filled or loved driven. There's a girl that her parents used to be really abusive with each other. Not only was the father very abusive to his wife, but he was very abusive to his children. He had a daughter that he used to treat like a boy. And not that you're supposed to be rough with boys, but usually that's the case when you grow up in a boy father relationship, right? So this man used to be super, super disciplined with her, and he used violence, physical violence, and verbal violence in order to get his point across, in order to establish that leadership or authority over the child. That little girl, she grew up to be scared of him. It was no longer, I'm scared to disappoint you. It's, I'm scared that you're gonna hit me in any case that I do something wrong, what you consider wrong, right? And when that little girl, she's around 12 or 13, so she's in eighth grade, she's 13, she's getting ready to transition into high school. The parents decide to divorce. The father decides he's going to go somewhere else, and this was the end of it. He used to come back and visit the girl and the other children, but he would make promises that he would come back one day. And you were confused because internally, that little girl felt like, oh, he's leaving. So the fear is leaving with him. The constant fear of every day is leaving with that person. But little does she know that once that man stepped out of her life, that her life would change, that her mother's life would change, and her siblings' life would change also. Eventually, the little girl was forced to become a woman at such a young age. Her mother had to work long hours to be able to supply money for them. The little girl was taking care of 2 year olds and 3 year olds while she was going to high school. And she was forced to take on a role of a mother. She learned how to cook very young. She learned how to clean very young. Her house was spotless. And she was doing everything in her hands to make her mother proud. She wanted to make sure that the food was made, that her siblings were being fed, so that when the mother came home from working a laborious job, everything would be in peace and order. As the child, she became older. She got a job really young, maybe 15 or 16. She would get a little bit of income, but she began to strive and do more things on her own. She became to the point that she took away the burden from her mom, telling her, "You don't have to take care of me anymore because I can financially sustain myself. You don't have to buy me shampoo, lotion. You don't have to give me gas money because now I'm financially." So the little girl, she's now in her teens, she's a young teen, even though they have adapted to a new lifestyle, a new reality of living without a father figure. It was never the same. It seemed like something was missing from her life. She seen that the promise that her father did to her, for her to that he was going to come back, never came reality. And now she has awareness. She's 18, 19. She has been working for a couple years and she begins to see beyond the words and rules. She begins to notice that the mother had to go to court with the father in order to establish some sort of payment to help out for bills, that the mother was receiving child support and it was not willingly from the father, it was forcefully by the state law, right? You begin to realize, wait a damn minute. So if it takes two people to raise children, not only financially, but also emotionally, a responsibility, but one person is doing it all. One is at work all day trying to provide the financial part, and the other person, there's no father figure, there's no mother figure. So that little girl was forced to step into a role that she did not choose to. Years pass by. The kids, the younger kids, they all begin to grow out, be independent, have their own careers, their own jobs. And there's only one child that is left. And every time he asks for money, the answer is, "I already paid my child support. Tell your mother to pay for your stuff." And that is the most transactional thing you can do as a parent. As in, I already paid, I did my duty, right? The Bible talks a lot about how when you give money, if you give it because you have to, there's no point to giving it. It says if you give a homeless person money and you're like, "Oh, here's the $20," or you're doing it for your ego. Like, look, everyone, I just gave the homeless man some money. Don't give it to them. Do it with love or don't do it at all. Eventually that woman, because she's a woman, she became a woman. She was stuck with so many trauma. Like, why did she have to take up responsibility? And trust me, she doesn't rub it into the kids' face that they didn't deserve love. Every kid from that household deserved someone as a support, as a someone you look up to, and someone had to do it. And there's a closure, a chapter that you end, and those kids grew up to be really good kids. That woman, she had to grow up and watch the father not only be physically absent but emotionally, and lack the responsibility of what it is to raise a child. That woman and those kids had to watch their own father give everything they needed to someone else. And it's not out of jealousy or bitterness, it's out of accountability. That while those kids were living in a home for 20 years, nearly 20 years, that was filled of mold, full of everything falling apart, and a house that didn't have AC in the hot summer days, nor had a heater in the super cold winter days. Meanwhile, their father was out buying a brand new home for other kids that weren't even his. And that woman over the years became bitter. Whenever someone talked about fathers and father figures and all of that, she had a sense of anger and she didn't know how to express it. So she used the gym as motivation to get all those emotions out. She didn't know how to express them, but every time she felt like giving up while doing the Stairmaster, she remembered that she had gone through so much that was nearly outweighed for what it compared to. So yes, back then, divorce wasn't as common. Some people, like I mentioned before, women used to get cheated on. They used to get played by their husbands, but you know what? They stuck by. Nowadays, people divorce, and not only do they divorce the partner, but they divorce the children too. Not only do they leave their spouse, but they leave those poor children. They're left with one parent, and all the weight falls on the one parent. Now tell me, how unfair is that? Back then, they used to be physically there, but emotionally absent. And now they are both physically and emotionally absent. It's so common to see households where the parents aren't present. I've seen a few cases where they are good co-parents. Ideally, that's the best thing. If you have to divorce, you have to have a good communication with them for the kids. Put boundaries, yes, if you had to divorce. But the importance is for both parents to be there emotionally, physically, right? If you get them every other weekend, it's about the little time, spending time with them. That woman, her siblings are older now. She got to see them graduate, attend events, sports. They got to experience milestones. And I think as a parent who is absent, and it could be for a long time, you miss out on your kids' lives when you begin to realize, like, oh shit, it's been 20 years. And the sad thing is that many parents do regret. Sometimes it's at their deathbed, which is unfortunate, or sometimes it's when they're in old age and they don't have anyone. They wonder, why do my kids not visit me? Why don't they call me? Why don't they? You're expecting too much from a person you gave so little. Are people able to change? Yes. But does it take 20 years to change? What happened when that person needed you there? Those kids needed that father figure, but that little girl needed a father also. She needed a father when she began to drive, to learn how to drive. She needed a father when she experienced bullying. She needed a father to show her how to be loved. They always say, fathers, would you be happy if your child, if your daughter married someone like you? You would be the example to your daughter to see what real love is like. And unfortunately, many of those fathers lack that. Now, for this future generation and anyone who's listening to me, all the men that are listening to me, and women, because not all women are nurturing, love driven. There's some women that really could really care less too, that they love their freedom more than their children. Think back of how your actions may affect your children. Having children is not lightly. Why are people out here having kids if they're going to create so much damage in them? Then they have trauma. They grow up, get into toxic relationships because they don't know how to love properly. Acknowledge yourself. Look at if you can resonate with that little girl. Acknowledge, have awareness of all the trauma you went through. Heal before you have kids, or else it becomes a pattern that continues. In the previous episodes, I said, your children don't owe you shit. You owe your children everything. You decided to have your kids. So why should they have to call you? You have to call them. It's not a mutual. I tell you what, if you wanted your kids to call you, you would have done things right from the beginning. Now you can't wonder why they don't call you. Why don't they text you? You know, my friend shared how it really, really hit her when she got married and her father was not present. I bet you that little girl doesn't want her father present. And whose dream is it not to have their father walk them down the aisle? It's every little girl's dream, right? With this video, I just want to bring awareness for anyone who grew up with a single parent, or even if you grew up with both parents, but one of them was very absent emotionally, or both of them. Sometimes they think that just financially paying is enough. Sometimes parents think that, oh, we gave you food and a house and we had electricity. I took care. That's the basic minimum. That's all you could give me. And trust me, I'm not one to be ungrateful, but that is your duty as a parent to do so. That's not going above and beyond. Even not to be in the, say, in a rude way, but even dogs do that for their pups. So if you think that $50 a month is gonna satisfy everything that a child needs, you got me up. I encourage you guys to heal. And I know this came off a little bit strong, but it has to be said, right? We are the generation that the trauma ends here, the abuse, because it's not just sexual abuse, it's verbal abuse, physical abuse, right? Come on now. And I'm not saying be the gentle parenting either. I believe in that, right? But not in the way most people think. It's more about respect rather than proving yourself that you have to have authority over your child. It's a deep topic, guys, and I unfortunately wish not many of you would relate, but I know a lot of you guys do relate to this. I truly hope that if you guys decide to be parents, you guys consider this when you have children of your own. And to have these type of conversations that bring healing and awareness. Because if not, you grow up to be that grumpy old person that hates everyone, that doesn't want communication with society. That's what happens when you are hurt as a kid and then grow up and be forced to be happy when you're truly holding on to so much baggage. But anyways, guys, I will see you guys next week. Again, if you guys want to be part of my podcast, let's talk. And these topics are very deep. It's not conversational like, "Hi, what do you do?" What It's more about, "All right, let's talk about deep shit." Thank you guys, and I hope to see you guys next week, right? Bye.